Okay, one more quick little tutorial here. This one is in answer to the question about the difference between what I mean when I say molecular shape versus geometric shape. So an easy one to help us see the difference between these is to talk about one that we've talked about in the other video, is about ammonia, because it has a certain geometric shape, but its molecular shape would actually have a different name. So when we did the Lewis structure for this, and I'll go ahead and draw that here, we can see that it ends up with bonds to 3 hydrogens, and then around the nitrogen the other electron is a lone pair. So you would say that this has 4 electron groups, which means that and you know, whenever you have 4 electron groups around the central object, that you get what we call the tetrahedral geometry. So that's the geometric structure, because it has 4 electron groups. 4 electron groups as far apart from each other as they can gives us that tetrahedral geometry. And it's not very easy to draw that, but it's sort of like this. And then we have that also coming across the back there. So your atom would be right in the middle of that, and then you've got your 4 electron groups forming the corners of this pyramid kind of shape. It's called a tetrahedra because it's got 4 triangles making up its sides. So that's the geometry. But if we look at that closely, we'll see that, I'll use a different color here, we've got, I'll put in the middle here, let's say that circle represents our nitrogen in the middle of this, and then I'll use blue to represent our hydrogens, which would be at these corners, and then up here this is a lone pair of electrons, so we'll just draw it like that. So that means that the actual structure of the molecule looks like a nitrogen here with a hydrogen here, a hydrogen here, and a hydrogen here. So that shape with the lone pair up top is not the tetrahedral shape, because the thing at the top of our shape here is not an atom. If it was an atom, then we would say that was a tetrahedral molecule. But what we call this molecule is, this is trigonal planar. And that would be the name for the shape of this molecule. Whereas the geometry was tetrahedral geometry because it had 4 electron groups. The molecule is trigonal planar because only 3 of those electron groups were actually bonds to atoms. So that gives you a shape for the molecule that's different from the tetrahedral, or from the geometry of the whole molecule. Sorry, just say that last part one more time. That it gives you a molecular shape, trigonal planar, which is different from the geometry of all of the electron groups around the central atom, which would be a tetrahedral geometry.